Today's podcast is brought to you by AlleyRepair.com. Don't leave your skee ball machines lying around collecting dust in the basement. Let AlleyRepair.com bring those machines back to life. High quality workmanship for your skee ball playing needs. Contact AlleyRepair.com today. Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of the Pro Life Wrestling Podcast. In this episode, we're going to discuss the first ever WWE UK Championship Tournament and what it might mean to the wrestling landscape going forward. We're going to discuss a few tidbits coming out of the Ring of Honor tapings this week, and we're going to finish up with some sad news in the world of wrestling. Actually, we're going to start off with some sad news. The sad news of the weekend is the passing of a legend, Superfly Jimmy Snuka. At the age of 73 years old, he had been battling cancer for quite some time and has been in hospice care since mid-December. I know some people don't look at this the same way I do. He's had some legal trouble lately, but despite his legal troubles the past few years, Jimmy Snuka was a cultural icon to make wrestling fans since the 1970s just go crazy. He was always full of energy. He was an innovative high flyer before that was the modus operandi for the world, and he had a really unique personality before things got overly cartoonish. No long-time wrestling fan can forget the incident on Piper's Pit and the smashing of the coconut, while more recent fans may remember he was the first victim of The Undertaker at WrestleMania. So our thoughts and prayers go out to the Snuka family. We wish them peace and comfort at this challenging time. Moving on, Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor taped 4 weeks of shows this past weekend, and there were a few noteworthy items to address. First, after being completely unbeatable for like the last year and a half, suddenly Jay Lethal can lose to just about anyone. That really bothers me. He spent over a year as the face of the promotion. Now he loses in the Decade of Excellence tournament to Jay Briscoe. I don't have anything against Jay Briscoe, but why couldn't he beat him for 18 months? And now in a tournament of this caliber, somehow he puts it all together and pulls it out against Lethal. You know, Lethal's meant more to this company in recent years than anyone on the roster. The one good thing that came out of the taping to me is the eventual winner of the tournament, Christopher Daniels, who has never been given the respect and the spot that he deserves at the top of the pecking order. Daniels has never been a world champion, and it's time for Ring of Honor to make that happen, which was kind of teased at the end of the tapings. It was nice to see Cody Rhodes back in Ring of Honor. Of course, it was a losing effort this time, but still, he's amazing. He seems to be making his presence felt everywhere in all promotions. Just in this last month, he's been at Wrestle Kingdom 11. He's been on Impact Wrestling's tapings, now Ring of Honor's tapings. I really like what he's doing for the world of wrestling because he's opening some doors that people hadn't had in a long time. It's almost like a territorial day kind of feel with Cody Rhodes. On a final note, before we go to the UK tournament, The Big Show. What the heck is going on with The Big Show? The dude is jacked and looks amazing. This is what you usually do at the beginning of your career, not at the end. We all know he's getting towards the end, but he is chiseled and looks awesome. I'm actually starting to look forward to seeing him in the ring with Shaq at WrestleMania, which all the pictures being posted on Instagram, go Big Show. Unbelievable. Let's recap the WWE United Kingdom Championship Tournament. This was a mixed bag for me. I know some fans seemed to really react negatively to some of the in-ring action. Thought the matches were subpar. After looking up several matches online for the various competitors, you can really see that the matches in this tournament were a real reflection of the style that you find in Great Britain. British wrestling, and when you use the measuring stick of what they are used to doing and what they did in this tournament, was actually quite good. Alright, so let's start with day one. Day one, we saw some interesting matchups, starting with Trent Seven taking on H.C. Dyer. Michael Cole and Nigel McGuinness were on commentary, which, just for the record, absolutely love McGuinness on commentary. He has just a level of class and intellect, and then he brings like a really emotional, true emotional excitement to the broadcast. The end saw Trent Seven hit a Rainmaker. Actually, it's not a Rainmaker, that's Kazuchika Okada. It's called the 7-Star Lariat to pick up the win. They said repeatedly that Trent Seven was the odds-on favorite to win the tournament, which I found interesting. You know, since the lineup has a lot of championship caliber talents, and Seven doesn't even seem to fit the mold of the typical WWE superstar. But he's 35 years old. He seems a bit long in the tooth for any substantial WWE push, unless it's just a UK thing. But Trent Seven picking up the win in match number one. Match two saw Jordan Devlin, who is a protege of Finn Balor, battle against Danny Burch, who's been a on-again, off-again talent used sporadically on TNA. Or, I'm sorry, not TNA, NXT. To be honest, this was a pretty good match, and I was surprised as anyone that they gave the win to Jordan Devlin the way they did. I thought Burch looked like a better performer, and potentially has a lot more to offer right now in the short term. I suppose long term is what they're looking at, and maybe they see something more in Jordan Devlin than I do, but solid back and forth match with a few high spots mixed in with some great combinations. Jordan Devlin walks away the winner. Match 3 saw Sam Gradwell go against Saxon Huxley. Huxley looked like a poor man's old school Cactus Jack. I mean, all the way down to the leopard print on the back of his pants. And he had absolutely no charisma. But Gradwell looked solid. He gave me the first impressions that they may be planning on putting a strap on somebody in the tournament. He was the first one who actually kind of looked the mold. He looked the role of a WWE superstar. This one was a really slow pace for me in comparison to the other matches. And it saw Gradwell come out on top. He gets the win. But at the end of the day, Saxon Huxley, not at the top of my favorites list. This match really lacked something. Match 4 was between Pete Dunne and Roy Johnson. Johnson looked terrible. Pete Dunne was clearly the favorite to win the match. I love the Bruiserweight moniker. That's awesome. It's a good tagline to get him some recognition in WWE. Dunne showcased the classic heel character in a great way. He put on a show with the finish coming when he hit his finisher, a pump handle flatliner for the win, which looked amazing. The move looked great, and it made him someone you can keep your eyes on long term. The 5th match saw the biggest competitor in the tournament, Wolfgang. The guy looks a lot bigger than he actually is. He would probably be due to be a dwarf next to typical WWE standards, but he went against Tyson T-Bone, who looked like he just got out of a taxi and came directly to the ring. Couldn't they have gotten this guy some better ring gear? You know, we got creative people to do these things. Anyways, for a bigger guy, Wolfgang is pretty nimble. Kind of like Vader, like circa 1993. Doing moonsaults and all that kind of high-risk stuff for like a bigger guy. He looked like a thicker guy. I like what he brings to the table. But again, I would have loved for them to get the guy some less hip-hugging gear. WWE wants us to buy into these regional tournaments and their stars as like legitimate WWE talents, not just some indie guys. Then the creative team needs to help come up with some more presentable attire for some of the talents. Moving on to match 6, Joseph Connors against James Drake. This is a bit of a snore fest for me too. There are a few high spots here and there, but by this point the matches are actually starting to look like really similar. They didn't look unique. They didn't look exciting. The end saw Connors hit the DLD for the win. It's just alright. It's a passable match. Match 7, that's where the excitement really kicks in. Better quality matches started to pick up. Mark Andrews, a former talent in TNA wrestling, who he went head-to-head with Dan Maloney. Former Mandrews was on his game and looked like a seasoned talent. I mean, the guy weighs just over 150 pounds, but this guy is tiny and exciting to watch and a great high flyer. And the end saw him pick up the win using a crazy shooting star press. You can see this guy stepping right in day one in 205 Live and really being a fan favorite. Somebody the kids would really love to watch perform. He's a great talent. The final match of round 1 saw Tyler Bate versus Tucker in a classic British style match. Bate makes me laugh. He walks out just waving the hand, being nonchalant. There's almost no charisma coming out of the guy, and at the same time, you can't help but like him. And the fans totally got into him, even though he has like no ego. The kid's only 19 years old, but he's really fun to watch. At the end of the match, you see Bate hit his Tyler Driver 97, which, you know, it's a tiger bomb. You know, he hits that to move on to the quarterfinals. We go to night 2 of the tournament. We see even more action. This time, you weeded out some of the lesser talents, and you really got some decent stuff going on. It was filled with high flyers and some surprises. The night got started with Pete Dunne versus Sam Gradwell. This match, after the first night, everybody really wanted to see this, because coming out of night 1, Dunne had cheap-shotted Gradwell as the cameras were going off in the air. We had to see William Regal jump in Dunne's face to end the night 1 action. So picking up where the first night left off is a perfect move for WWE. This one was back and forth. To the average wrestling fan who understands the psychology of the business, though, it was kind of obvious from the start that Dunne was going to get the win here. He uses the bitter end driver, and he's the only true heel in the tournament. So you got to have a good antagonist for the finals. So you knew this was going to be a win for Dunne. But whatever, still a good match all the way around. Match 2 saw Mark Andrews go against Joseph Connors. Again, Andrews was on his game. The kid he can sell, he can fly, he looks so small, but he wrestles big. I'm seeing a career in 205 Live sooner than later if WWE is smart, unless they're truly trying to build a brand in the UK. Anyways, Mandrews hits another shooting star press, moves on to the semifinals. Match 3 of night 2 saw Wolfgang go against Trent Seven in what looked like a battle like the backwoods rednecks, but it was oddly entertaining. Trent Seven was a heavy favorite. He was expected to be in the finals of the tournament. He's one of the longest tenured British wrestlers on the card and has a huge following in Europe. But instead, in kind of like a shocking turn of events, they put Wolfgang over, have him pick up the win to move into the semifinals using a huge swanton bomb to beat Trent Seven. The fourth match saw Jordan Devlin, the Finn Balor protege, the guy looks like a carbon copy, go against Tyler Bate. Great matchup. They probably did a lot more for Jordan Devlin's long-term stock. You know, Mr. Wannabe Finn Balor, all the way down to the way he walks to the ring, but with the real Finn about to make a return to the company at any time, you just knew they couldn't have an imposter take home the UK belt because there'd be that underlying storyline that you know they don't want to go down that road. So instead, Tyler Bate, with his funky haircut, picks up the win with the Tyler Driver 97 again. Great match. Really was a great match. Match 5 was the opening of the semifinals, pitting Mark Andrews against Pete Dunne. Again, I was looking forward to this match. You can see that Mandrews, he has the talent to pick up the win, but from a booking sense, it wouldn't have worked. Pete Dunne had to win. In the end, Dunne got the job done and moved on to this finals in a fantastic match. But I expect a lot from Mark Andrews going forward, and I just hope WWE sees his talent and maximizes his potential in NXT instead of stranding him over across the pond. They really could have something there. Match 6 was the other semifinal between Tyler Bate going against Wolfgang. I have to say, Wolfgang needs to work on the charisma and stop the silly hand gestures to start every match. He acts like his opponents are just trash talking, and he moves his hands, making fun of them and mocking them. And it's getting old already. He's only had 3 matches, you know, and it's already old news. Tyler Bate is over huge with the crowd. He's coming out of round 1. I don't know if he was a face or a heel coming out of round 1, but by now he's clearly a face, and the fans absolutely love him. In the end, he's going to pull off his Tyler Driver 97 on the huge, much bigger Wolfgang to pick up the win. But the key here was after the bell, Pete Dunne hits the ring and attacks Bate's shoulder, ramming him into the steel post. It sets up an injury angle for the finals. And now, you know, you get that part where we have to wait and see, is he going to be able to make it into the final match? At that point, we have a non-tournament match. It was unannounced. Neville makes an appearance, and it prompts the arrival of Tommy End. Now, looking at it from multiple angles, Tommy End is a UK wrestling megastar, and Neville's a high-flying, high-profile storyline on 205 Live and Raw. So who gets the win here? If I were booking, I would have given it to Tommy End to solidify the UK brand, but Vince's primary focus is on his main program, so that automatically means Neville's going to win. They have Neville at the end of the match hit a crazy sequence. Enziguri on the top rope Hurricane Rana. He finishes Tommy End off with a red arrow for the highlight spot of the night. Amazing chemistry between these two, and if they had more time, we may be talking about a match of the year candidate. That's how good these two seem to work together. After the match, Finn Balor makes an appearance. In the moment, that gave me goosebumps. I mean, I was sitting on my couch watching this on my computer, and the minute it happened, I literally had to pause for a second, just look at my arm to see the goosebumps, because it was amazing to watch him play the crowd to his music. It was a magical moment with him crediting the British fans for making this event a reality. This was a really cool moment and a great way to set up, you know, the main event match that was about to happen. The final match of the tournament saw Pete Dunne go for the UK title against Tyler Bate, whose shoulder is heavily taped in that black medical tape. The match saw Pete Dunne work over the shoulder several times and use every underhanded tactic in the book. I was disgusted when he has this mouthpiece, this black mouthpiece. It's like his signature thing. He pulled it out of his mouth, and he was going to bite Tyler Bate, and this huge bridge of spit was dripping off the mouthpiece. Absolutely disgusting. Anyways, after taking so much punishment, Bate hits a reverse dive over the top rope on Dunne outside. He hit a 450 two-footed stomp. Dunne puts him in a Kimura, which looks like it was going to be the end until Bate reverses it into a brainbuster. Then they go to their feet. Dunne hits Bate, who responds with a rolling wheelhouse kick, follows it up with another one. He hits the Tyler Driver 97 for the win and is crowned the first ever WWE United Kingdom champion. Celebration started right away. Triple H, Finn Balor, William Regal, Fit Finlay, all of them congratulating him in the ring, putting the belt around his waist, flipping it on. The belt looked bigger than he is. But what a great end to the tournament. The fans were really behind him, and it was a fun thing to see. That's all the time we have for this episode, but check back with us in episode 7 where we cover all the happenings in the world of wrestling and keep you posted on all the behind-the-scenes information. Special thanks go out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing all of our music and sound effects used throughout today's show. Today's podcast was sponsored by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to the family game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this new game from Beazle Games and bring some fun and excitement back to the family game night. Go to www.thegamecrafter.com/sketchypeople to pick up your copy today. To the U.S. News and World Report Best Colleges 2017, available at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble right now. To AlleyRepair.com, contact Alley Repair today for servicing of all your classic skee-ball, pinball, and arcade needs. And to A&B Education of Lansdale, bringing intercultural education to talented students from around the world. We want to thank you for listening to today's podcast, and we encourage you to go to our website at www.throwlifeplanning.com to learn more about what Mr. Throw can do for you in your path to higher education. Remember, Throw Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Throw Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Throw, and I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us today. We look forward to discussing more current events and rumors on our next show. So long, everybody.